Why did you go for the trifecta?
I would say that happened as a coincidence, honestly, because I started doing the A plus just because it was the first cert in the pipeline and it was something I was comfortable taking because I know it was not going to be super challenging owing to my my bachelor and like my university education and also just my experience as a kid building PCs and playing around with them. So I figured out it's going to be easy. So I took it and I passed it. But after that, I was offered to work on some of the courses. So I needed to take my Network Plus and Security Plus in order to be able to work on other courses. So it's a professional development slash job requirement. And that's why I went for it. I enjoy the stuff, especially the security stuff. It's really fun.
Yeah, and I'll touch a little bit on that myself. I have studied for the A plus exam and I have studied for the Security Plus exam, but I do not have those certifications. I never sat for either of them, but I wanted to make sure that I knew what they were about and wanted to know any material that I didn't have in my head, essentially. But I can tell you why I went after the Network Plus. And to backtrack to my military service, I was a cyber threat intelligence analyst. I had a lot of cyber folks talking about certifications 24/7 around me. Oh, he's got his CISSP and a top secret clearance. He's going to go make $150,000 next year when he gets out. Oh, this guy just got his OSCP, his Offensive Security Certified Practitioner. That's what all the NSA guys like. You need to make sure that you get that one instead of CEH. CEH is crap. And that's not my opinion. I'm just parroting it. But I kept looking at all of these things and I'm like, offensive security certified practitioner, that's tough, right? So that's a 24-hour capture the flag exam that you then write a penetration test report afterwards. And as cool as I think that is, I knew I didn't have the skill set for it. And I had friends who were going after GIAC certifications. So if you're familiar with GIAC, that is through the SANS Institute. And
It's
SANS, phenomenal training, but I'm not going to
expensive.
pay $8,000 for an entry level certification. I can't afford that. It's a lot of money. So if you're looking at SANS, most people who are going to those courses are government employees. And I'm specifically talking about the US government, but I did take a course that the Air Force paid for with SANS. It was open source intelligence. Great course, phenomenal training. $7,000. I could never afford it myself. And I was sitting next to some FBI cyber folks. I was sitting next to some Department of Defense intelligence analysts. I was sitting next to some Army CID, which is like NCIS for the Army, Criminal Investigative Division. And it was great, a lot of government folks. But to reiterate, couldn't afford it if it wasn't through the military. And I started with Security Plus. And I quickly realized I can't protect a network if I don't know what a network is. And so I had to backtrack. And I was like, I can't make sure a firewall is running if I don't know what a firewall is. And for me, Network Plus was the right move. And a lot of people consider it to be the most difficult out of the trifecta. And I think it's because there is a ton of acronyms and it's very technical. And if you don't have hands-on Cat5e or Cat6 cable or any of the other hands-on tools that you need or the fiber optic stuff, it's hard to learn. That's my experience with the trifecta.
Absolutely. I would just say something about Network Plus. I also found it to be the hardest of the trifecta. And I think the reason to that is that just networks do not make sense for the human brain. They're like you can only get good with networks when you deal with networks, when you start building your own networks, when you start fixing stuff with networks. Okay, this network has this problem and you start fixing them, which happens over a long period of time. And that's
Mm-hmm.
why, like me myself, I found Network Plus to be very challenging because most of the time I was like, how does stuff work? I do not get that. And like I said before, I passed the exam on my first try, so it is very manageable. And I'm not the best at networks. If you're trying to pass the exams, or maybe if you failed once, just don't give up. You can literally go through it.